Hey guys, Brandon Beatty Trance here. So this is the first video in a series where we're going to talk about making our own trance track totally from scratch. So if you like these epic leads, if you like these driving tracks with the acids, the rolling basses, right, this tutorial is going to be for you. So it doesn't matter which DAW you're in. Okay, guys, it really doesn't matter which DAW you're in. This tutorial is going to be for anybody who's looking to make uplifting trance. So I like to use Ableton because Ableton, I feel like over the years I started with Reason and I've tried Logic and other programs. I mean, Logic is almost similar to Ableton, to be honest. It's not too much different. I like Ableton because it's easy to manage your automation. It's easy to manage the amount of tracks that we're going to need to do. Personally, for me, Reason, I think it's a great software, but when it comes to managing a professional production with about 100 individual tracks, that's where Reason started to sort of bottleneck. And Ableton can handle the amount of tracks and automation that we need going on for professional production. So we're going to start with building the foundation of the track. Right here, I'm literally in a blank slate. I don't have anything on the mastering, on the main output. I guess there's a limiter here. We'll get rid of that. So yes, double check. We have nothing. We're literally starting from a blank slate, and we're going to make an epic track like that. And I want to create a process that you guys can go back to and reliably create your own music. And this is a process I've developed over the years. I've been making trance music for about 16, 17 years, almost more than half of my life I dedicated to learning how to make trance. And so by no means is this easy, okay? This is the culmination of many aspects of music. You know, you do need to understand percussion. You do need to understand synthesis. You also need to understand songwriting. You need to understand how chords work, okay? But at the same time, it's not rocket science. Anybody can do this. And it shouldn't have to take you 17 years like it took me, okay? So it doesn't matter what your skill is, what your level with Ableton or any music production software is, this tutorial will be for you, okay? And if you guys ever want to do one-on-one sessions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll drop a link in the description and just sign up and we can do one-on-one lessons where I work with your productions one-on-one with you. So, all right, guys, uplifting trance. How do I start my projects? A lot of my projects, I actually start in a template. I think that's the easiest way to start. But if you're starting from scratch, you've never made a track before, you're not going to have a template. You're not going to know what to do. You're going to basically, I mean, you can buy templates, which is nice, but you can actually get stuck. You know, if you're using the same template, like you might get stuck in the same sound, or you might not even know what to do with the template. So we're not using a template. We're going to completely start from scratch, but we're going to basically build our own template. And when we think about trance music, we want to think bars of 8. Okay. But then we also want to think about how those bars of 8 also combine. So I think the first thing we want to think of is the intro, okay? And that will sort of be the basis for the rest of the track as we build it up. And some people, if you get stuck writing a track, I used to fall into the trap of like, I'm in the middle, I have a good middle, but I don't know how to get there, or I don't know where to take it. And the track basically just becomes like looping of one part, and it doesn't really go anywhere, it doesn't evolve, doesn't keep going, and I'm just stuck. So we're never going to get stuck again, all right? Because we have songwriting tools. Now, for any peak time uplifting track, especially this isn't the radio mix. We are making the extended mix from scratch. There's almost always, right? And we're going to learn the main structure, and then you guys can break the rules. Remember, it's music. There's no like rules, but at the same time, there is like formalities, I guess. And one formality that a lot of people stick to, and I think it's great, I mean, I love it, is the 32 bar intro. 8 times 4 equals 32 bars. And we want an intro that's 32 bars long. It's very standard. And after 32 bars is when the sub bass comes in. So there is no sub bass in the 32 bar intro. At 32 bars, we're actually going to just go ahead, put a locator here. And we're going to put sub enters. And I call this the, if we were to call this an intro, I think of trance as a movie. Okay. Trance is almost no different from a good book. Okay. It's got a beginning, it's got a middle, and it's got an end. It's very important that trance does some kind of evolution. I mean, again, it doesn't always have to, but this is the standard. Like, this is what you should learn before you break the rules. Okay. So we have the intro. Then we're going to have the exposition. Okay. This is sort of, I also call this action. Okay. This is like where action picks up in the track. The sub enters. Maybe the acids kick in. Okay. The track starts building in intensity. It's not the most intense. It's more intense than the intro. It's not the most intense, but it leaves room to become more intense. Okay. And again, we can break this up into another set of 32 bars. And so here we should add another locator. And around here is usually where we're going to start thinking of our theme. This is the juicy middle. Okay. This is the sort of where the lead, it's not going to come in here, but this is what we want to start building towards. Okay. And this is where like the chords, your track should by now have some chords, but technically we're going to break down and build up. We're going to break down and then have a break here. So really the theme comes in about here. So I should actually explain this all again. Whoops, put down bread. I meant to say breakdown. Breakdown, and then this is a break. And knowing how to do breakdown and break is a really great way to never get stuck in a track. These are old school sort of techno things. Like if you listen to really old school techno, there's always a breakdown and there's a break. And breakdown is sort of where elements in the music start fading out. So right here, we're going to start fading out the percussion elements, the basses, like things are going to start fading out. And then here, a lot of elements are just going to stop and it's just going to be pads. Okay. So this is sort of a point in the track where it's very airy. Okay. So again, sort of to recap on what we're talking about, we want to think of the music in groups of 4 bars of 8, 32 bars each. We have an intro, we have the exposition, and we need to get to the theme. Okay? The easiest way to get to a theme is to break down, then break. We're going to do the theme, okay? At some point, we're going to have the climax, okay? Again, it's about 32 bars long. 32 beats long. And the easiest thing to do at this point, again, break down. And then I like to do something I call transform. Okay. And this is where we start to recap. So we're going to add a locator here. I have to zoom in. There we go. Okay. Sorry, where you're going to transform. And then here is the recap. Okay. And the recap usually lasts about, again, 38 bars. There's 38 beats, 4 bars. And right about here is where we're going to have our end. Okay. And if you look, our track is about 5.5 minutes, which is not long enough. So we'll at some point we'll extend it. We really want to try to get to about 7 minutes. So as the track starts to come together, we'll be able to sort of mold it as we go. Okay. So I'm just trying to think if there's anything else we can do. I think that's about it. So again, groups of 4, intro, exposition, breakdown, break, go into a middle. Okay. Go into the climax. This is where like the lead is going, the kicks in, everything's driving. Then we're going to break down, transform, and go back to the recap. I think we're going to end up repeating this one more time. So we want to duplicate time. And we will have like a climax sort of, I believe, I kind of call it like almost like a reprise. It's the climax part 2. Okay. And see, that brings us a little bit closer to that sort of that 7-minute mark. Might even just do, you could add probably about 2 more bars of looping here. And this would be, again, like more breakdown. And this would just be a straight breakdown for like 2 more bars or 2 more sets. Okay. So that's the first, literally the first thing I would do if I was making, when I'm making a track, is I always know where the track is going to build up and go. Okay. Don't just start with random ideas. You know, I know you want to just jump right in, just start making music, but that's why you're getting stuck. It's because you don't have a framework to work from. Okay. A good artist doesn't just start putting paint on the page. I mean, some of them can, but you know, some artists have a good structure. You know, they start with stick figures, outlines, and then they fill it in. And that's because it's important to have a process. Because yes, at the end of the day, we're artists, but we're also producers. Producers have to produce and have results, okay? Because you're not a producer if you don't finish anything, okay? At that point, you're just an artist. And if you're trying to produce music, you've got to produce a product. And you got to do it again and again and again reliably. And if you only rely on creativity, you're going to get stuck, okay? I got stuck all the time because I was just going off of feeling. I was just going off of, you know, what I think instead of what I know. And I know, right, that I can build tracks using this framework.